CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
Get a question. Don't be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Trump just showed us why he'd make a terrible CNN executive, but an amazing stand-up comedian. In a press conference that turned into a roast session, he absolutely demolished a CNN reporter while the entire room lost it.
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President-elect, that's not...
If you've ever wondered what happens when the former president decides to play media critic instead of answering actual questions, this video is your front row seat to the chaos. The reporter came armed with facts, but Trump came with jokes that had everyone, except CNN, rolling on the floor. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder what happens when a press conference turns into an impromptu comedy roast? That's exactly what we witnessed when Trump decided his real job wasn't answering questions about boring policy stuff, but becoming America's harshest media critic right there on live TV.
That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question.
Picture this. A perfectly normal press conference about international relations and policy matters. You know, the kind of serious stuff presidents are supposed to talk about. Then a CNN reporter steps up to the microphone, probably thinking they're about to engage in some high-minded political discourse. Poor thing had no idea they were actually walking into Trump's personal comedy club.
President, overall, South Korea has done 5 times more tests than the U.S. per capita. Why is that?
I don't think that's true.
That is true. And you said this morning that...
Instead of addressing any actual questions about, running the country, Trump immediately switched gears. His favorite move, attacking CNN's credibility. It's like watching someone get asked about their tax returns and they respond by criticizing your haircut. Classic Trump deflection tactic that somehow works every single time. The CNN reporter tried so hard to maintain that professional journalist demeanor. You could see them desperately clinging to their prepared questions while Trump kept interrupting with increasingly personal jabs about CNN's viewership.
Go ahead. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news.
It's that awkward moment when you realize the interview you prepared for is definitely not the one you're getting. The really fascinating part was watching Trump's body language throughout this whole exchange. He started off looking defensive, arms crossed, scowling face, the whole "you dare question me" vibe.
Same thing in the United States. So if you look at every single state that had an outbreak, their testing is greater than anywhere in the world. They're in the...
But then something magical happened. As he launched into his media criticism routine and noticed people in the room starting to react, his whole demeanor shifted. Suddenly, he was the entertainer, feeding off the energy in the room, getting more animated with each response.
CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
And then came the killer line that landed like a perfect punchline. CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive. The delivery was pitch perfect. That slight pause before the knockout blow, the little smirk afterward. Half the room couldn't help but laugh. It was stand-up comedy disguised as presidential communication. The reaction from the other reporters in the room was priceless. Some started shifting uncomfortably in their seats, probably thinking, glad it's not me up there. Others were clearly fighting back smiles as the exchange got more and more ridiculous.
They're testing. There's no state right now in the United States that's tested really less than 1%, which is pretty remarkable when they don't really have significant...
You could practically see the thought bubbles above their heads. This is completely inappropriate, but kind of funny. But I shouldn't laugh. But oh my God, he's still going. Trump, being Trump, wasn't satisfied with just attacking the network. Why stop at criticizing CNN when you can go personal? So he escalated from network ratings to attacking the individual reporter with that devastating line, "Nobody knows who you are, including me." Ouch. Imagine preparing your whole career to question the president only to be told you're basically a nobody. That's the kind of burn that requires immediate medical attention. What really made the room erupt wasn't just one comment, but the complete transformation of what should have been a serious press conference about matters of state into Trump's personal comedy hour at CNN's expense. It was like watching a presidential press briefing get hijacked by an insult comic who happened to have nuclear codes.
The White House said the U.S. passes South Korea in virus testing.
Who are you with?
Yahoo News, and it's not true per capita.
Do you want to respond to that? If you have the number.
The press pool's reaction speaks volumes about how normalized these performances have become. Half the reporters were trying to maintain professional composure, while the other half were barely containing their laughter. There's something uniquely Trumpian about turning a forum designed for presidential accountability into entertainment that makes people forget what questions were supposed to be answered in the first place. Let's be honest, it was effective. Whether you think he's brilliant or just allergic to answering tough questions, Trump managed to completely derail a potentially difficult line of questioning by making people laugh instead. It's like being asked about your speeding ticket and somehow getting the cop to laugh so hard he forgets why he pulled you over.
Get a question.
Mr.
Don't be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you
No,
give
I'm
us
not
a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
The CNN reporter eventually gave up trying to get a straight answer, realizing they were now just an unwilling straight man in Trump's impromptu comedy set. And that's exactly how Trump likes it. Controlling the narrative, setting the tone, and making sure everyone remembers the performance rather than the substance. And there you have it, another Trump press conference where facts took a back seat to his personal comedy hour.
In the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President,
Come on.
that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President.
What's really brilliant about his approach isn't just the zingers. It's his tactical use of humor as a shield against accountability. Political analysts have noticed that Trump's comedic jabs at the media aren't just for laughs. They're calculated moves to undermine journalists' credibility. Every time he gets the room chuckling at CNN's expense, he's actually reinforcing his fake news narrative to his supporters back home. Pretty clever for a guy who claims he's not a politician, right? His followers eat it up while he completely sidesteps answering anything substantial. So next time you see Trump getting cornered by a tough question, watch closely. That moment when his eyes start to twinkle and his hands get extra wavy, that's when you know the orange comedian is about to take the stage and serious journalism is about to leave the building.